Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find latest album reviews. You can find our band interviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. I've been really busy as of late. I know I've been saying that for like a couple weeks now, but a lot of stuff has happened. I've been posting a lot of live sets, band interviews. So if you like that sort of stuff, there's plenty of content that's coming out for that, whether it be more interviews, which I post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and also live sets, which I'm posting, I think, 3 times this week, 2 or 3 times this week. So check those out, along with album reviews, trying to punch out as much content as I can. So if there's anything you'd like to see on the channel, let me know in the comments below. But tonight, we're going to be talking about Thornhill's newest record, The Dark Pool. So I want to give a shout outs to Becky over at Big Picture. I know that she had sent this over to me a little bit early, and I was really excited to give this record a listen. I actually had listened to their EP back in 2018 called Butterfly. If you haven't checked that out, highly recommend it. Very good stuff. But I was excited for this record. This was one of the ones that I was kind of anticipating this year to really listen to, because I did really enjoy Butterfly a lot, and I was curious how they were going to evolve or how they were going to change as a band, and just kind of the next evolution, because I figured they would be doing a full length. So I'm going to go through each track, give you my thoughts and opinions on it, go through some pros and cons, and finish it out with an overall rating. So the first track is called Views from the Sun. Digging this sort of synth intro along with the drumming. I thought that was really solid, and just the way that arrangement has worked out was really sick. Their drummer is fantastic. I really feel like he just kind of adds those little like polyrhythms and those little ghost notes in there, and it just really kind of ties in their technical aspect of their band. And I feel like in terms of bands that I feel like they're heavily influenced by is definitely North Lane, whether it be older North Lane, whether it be newer North Lane. I feel like they kind of run the gambit of all of those sorts of artists and material that they have kind of come up with over the years. Anything from like Discoveries to Aliens, I think they kind of cut anywhere in between there. But getting back to Thornhill, definitely, I think that the bass on this track is awesome. It sounds super thick, and I feel like it adds a lot of depth to the guitar playing as well, and just kind of backs up a lot of the drumming parts in the songs. I think that rhythmically it's super on point. Just some of the like I had mentioned before, like the polyrhythms and the sort of ghost notes that they have going on. The bass player really kind of follows those leads, and I feel like he accentuates not only the drum playing but also the guitar playing as well. Speaking about guitar work, I really love what Ethan and Matt are doing. I think some of the riffs on this track in particular are some of my favorite off the record, without a doubt. But I would say probably my biggest thing that I enjoyed about this track the most is definitely Jacob's transitions from not only screaming to singing, but back to singing to screaming. I think it is just really fantastic. I think he finds a nice balance of both of those things, and I think a great majority of this record has some really great balance of not only like some awesome singing parts, but also some really nice screaming parts as well. I think he really utilizes his range very well, and it really works with the style of music in this track. A lot of these tracks that are on this record, just the transition from like head voice to falsetto voice in terms of more of a technical voice perspective, I think it is super like fluid. I think that the way that he kind of transitions between the both is really nice too as well. And as I mentioned before, I think it's very reminiscent of older North Lane, but it has a nice balance of just heavy and melody. There isn't parts where it's just there are some parts where it's just like disgustingly heavy, but at the same point there's parts where there's some really beautiful melodies that they were able to concoct on this track. So we're gonna move into track number 2, which is Nurture. This is one of the singles that they released. They released a music video with it as well. You should go check it out. I'm not sure if like video wise, I think the storylines kind of connect. Most of the singles that I released, I think Nurture and definitely Where We Go When We Die, those 2 tracks definitely coincide. But I'm getting off track. You should check the music videos out. But getting back to this song Nurture, the track on this is just super groovy. I love Um, just the way it kind of just has this awesome bounce to it. It's just a great transition from their butterfly EP to Dark Pool, which is their latest record, obviously, and the one that I'm talking about. But it just feels a little bit like that, but also it has moments where, I feel like they've expounded upon their sound. They've done a little bit of different things. But man, this one just is so groovy. It's super catchy. And it's definitely one of those songs that will get you pumped up in the morning when you have to drive to work or something like that. Really love the nice little breakdown at the 2 minutes and 15-second mark to around the 2 minutes and 33-second mark. Super solid, super riffy. I love like he does like kind of like a breakdown part, and then he just switches it up with like a riff, and then he comes back into like the breakdown part. Super solid. I don't really hear a lot of bands do that too much, and just to hear that in that song, just even if it's like a very minuscule thing, I think it really separates just that song from a lot of other songs off not only this record but from a lot of other bands as well. Has some awesome energy to it. Definitely one of those ones that you should go give a listen to as well. So we're gonna move into track number 3, which is The Haze. I like this song as well. I think the ambience of it is really something that stuck out to me. I think they weren't able to really kind of like play off of it in the first 2 tracks more specifically, but I feel like in some of the like not single tracks, I feel like they definitely were able to utilize more of the ambience, the clean singing as well. There's a lot more of Jacob's clean singing. I think this track in particular only has clean singing, I'm pretty sure. If there's screaming, there's a very minimal amount of screaming. But it's really solid. I like that this track really kind of utilizes Ben and Nick's contributions, whether it be from the drums or the bass. I think they really hold it down and hold this song together for sure. They're definitely the MVPs of this song without a doubt. Some of those little like drum fills, some of that little bass lines, I feel like they really hold the song together and is one that is memorable to me as well. And probably my favorite part of the track is 3 minutes and 50 seconds in to about pretty close to the end of the song. Just that last breakdown where he kind of does some singing parts and then just kind of like belts it out, and then the just kind of breakdown part kind of kicks in at the end. It just works out beautifully. I love how that came out, and it's definitely an amazing track. So we're gonna move into track number 4, which is Red Summer. I like that this one kind of almost blends in from the Haze into this track, Red Summer. Just their transitional pieces and in certain parts of the songs, I just think they have a really fluid way of kind of like transitioning it into the next song. And I think that has a lot to do with some really great songwriting and being able to concoct songs and kind of formulate them in a really unique way, and how they flow and kind of weave in and out of the record, and it really shows a lot of experience. At least I think so, and it just has this sort of smooth, cohesive feeling to it. I really enjoy the vocals. I think the reverby vocals add this really interesting atmosphere to this song, and I feel like they really strike a nice balance of etherealness and like just this really nice heaviness to kind of create a full sound. This one is definitely along the softer side, I'd say, along with the Haze. I feel like those two definitely have more of a just like ambient, like spacey sort of vibe to it, which is really cool. And I think Jacob definitely flourishes in this track. His clean vocals were really solid on this one as well, and I think it just kind of the way that he sings in these songs, I feel like really accents the ambience of the songs as well, because he's not trying to just like belt out notes. He's really playing off the strengths of like a falsetto or maybe more of a head voice. It really works with that sort of like, flowy kind of like soft melodic parts that kind of build in the song. I would say the bridge is probably my favorite portion of the song as well. I feel like they really hit a good climax in that part, and overall another really, really solid track that you should give a listen. So we're gonna move into track number 5, which is In My Skin. This is the most recent single. I mean, all of the songs are out now because it came out on Friday, but This one is really solid as well. I think this one I was really surprised about as well, especially upon listening to it outside of the record. It felt very much like Thornhill, but at the same time, it definitely pulls a lot from like the darker undertones of other bands out there. It really has a darker feel to it, and I was definitely surprised in that direction. And I think now, kind of listening to it in the whole kind of line of songs, I think it definitely works because the next song, which we'll talk about in a second, really kind of uh, counterbalances that this song. But getting back into In My Skin, I really dig the layered vocals, especially the screams and this cleans over the chorus, in both choruses actually. um the Jacob sings, and then at the same time he has some screaming layered over top of it, which I love. I love when the bands do that. I don't know how they would do that live. I assume either, one of the other members would do some screaming for that part, or they would just backtrack it or something. But um that was really solid. I love when that happens, and I think it was really cool. But I also feel like they strike a cool balance between the ambiance of a song as well as kind of having that darker undertone, which I feel like the dark undertones and the ambience really create this unique sound that I was really stoked on. And I love the ending of this track. It's super big. The way that they end it is just really powerful. It comes to a really awesome crescendo, and definitely one of those ones to keep an eye out for. Definitely. So we're gonna move into track number 6, which is "All the Light We Don't See." This is very much an interlude track, but I love this sort of like harmonics, the drum playing, the beat, the vocals, the little bit of vocals that are in there. It really has this beautiful ethereal melodicness. I think counterbalance with In My Skin, which I had mentioned before, has a sort of darker undertone. It's really kind of cool to see the parallels between the like almost light and dark sort of feel, no pun intended. And I think lyrically it's really smart too, because it kind of references the next song, which is Lily in the Moon. And I think just the way that they, even just in the interlude, I think just the thought and the honor of the record, I think they really put a lot of thought and heart into it, and I definitely appreciate that because I really don't focus a lot on lyrics, but just listening to it so many times, that vocal melody and that vocal lyricism really showed up in the next track, which we'll be talking about right now, which is called Lily in the Moon. And this one really bleeds in well from All the Light We Don't See. Is super strong. It just kicks you down, and it just almost as if like somebody kicks the door down and just asks you for mercy. It's like they really just come out the gate swinging with this track, and it's definitely one of those stronger tracks off the record for sure. And I love the juxtaposition between softer ethereal vocals paired with the sort of riffy guitar parts. There's some awesome like bass riffs as well, and some really sick drumming done by Ben. I think this band was definitely firing on all cylinders on this track for sure, because it feels very cohesive. It's super strong. The chorus is definitely awesome. I think Jacob really comes into his own onto that portion of the track. And my God, that breakdown at the 2 minutes and 15 second mark to 2 minutes and 30 second mark, oof, that is so great. It's probably it's like it's coming, but it just works out so well in the song that I was just floored when that part of the song came out. But I think it's brilliantly structured. It's a wonderfully written track, and it's definitely one that you should give a listen. So we're gonna move into track number 8, which is Coven. This one is the oldest single because it was like it was a standalone single, and then it obviously is on this record. But I love the intro of this. I think it's so wild. It has this weird sort of reverby, like guitar, drum, vocal line. It's very interesting. It's hard to explain to, obviously, but it is so cool. It is absolutely nuts, and just the high notes that Jacobs hit the intro portion of the song, where they're very like ethereal, reverby, super solid. If you're looking for one of those songs where it was just gonna be straight like balls to the wall heavy, this is definitely the one for you. And if you had already listened to it, you already know how it is. But I love it. I think it really fits well on the record as well, just kind of being a standalone single at first. Um, and just being so far out from the record, I think it really works in the sort of whole scheme of the record as well. Because they definitely needed a track that was like just super heavy, like Lily in the Moon's heavy, but in a melodic way. They just needed like a stupid heavy track, and I feel like this one really fills that void. As well as that, I love the breakdown part between the 3 minutes and 8 second mark to around the 3 minutes and 24 second mark. That part hits like an absolute truck every time I'm listening to this record. I come to track 8 and that part still just goes off and I love it. So definitely give Coven a listen if you haven't already. So we're gonna move into track number 9, which is Human. I think vocally, Jacob is definitely doing a lot of different stuff on this one. He's hitting a lot more of his higher register, and I think which is really interesting, and I think it utilizes a lot of his range. Is that he uses his lower registers in choruses of this song, and I think the counterbalance of those two, or just the juxtaposition between the two, are really interesting. And I think it shows a lot of his ability as a vocalist, not only from this record, but back when he was in the Butterfly EP. I think he's become much better of a clean vocalist, and you can definitely hear it in this record without a doubt. Just range wise, it's definitely impressive. Just the way that vocally how he hits a lot of these notes. Definitely more spacey, experimental almost. And is kind of feels very interesting, especially the middle portion of the song. There's really kind of like a real reverby, ambient, spacious sort of portion of the song that is just like mind blowing in certain regards. I love the layered vocals make a return in the chorus. I thought that was really good, a really good callback in the record. And definitely one of those songs that I feel like is most likely the black sheep of the record, just because it feels so different. But it's again another really solidly arranged track. So we're gonna move into track number 10, which is Nether Place. This is another kind of interlude sort of track. It does feel a little bit long. I think it's around like the 3 minute mark or something like that. I think the piano was a nice addition to the track as well. However, I would have loved to hear some vocal lines, maybe something a little bit more melodic, a little bit more straightforward. I think that would be really tight. I think what they did with All the Light we don't see, I think if they kind of did that on this track, Nether Place, I thought that would have been really cool. However, obviously they didn't do that, but if that were to happen maybe on another track that they would do on the next record, I think that would be really solid, and I think it would really tie in the record a little bit more in that regard. So we're gonna move into the last track, track number 11, which is Where We Go When We Die. This is second most recent single. I mean, all of them are out, like I had mentioned before, but this one was really solid, and I think the way that it comes in and kind of bleeds in from Nether Place, I thought was really solid as well. Just the way that it kind of has this sort of soft, like ambient, sort of like odd sort of sound to it with Nether Place, and then kind of just breaks out into this heavy sort of track as well. I think was really great. I also feel like they're saving the best for last. I know that they released it as a single. However, in the context of a record, I feel like they really just, put the nail in the coffin on this one. And I really feel like it takes a lot of the context of the record and kind of puts it into one whole complete track. It has some melodic moments that you got from like Lily in the Moon, but also has some really heavy moments like you got from Coven or the Views from the Sun. I feel like there's just kind of a mixture of everything in this track, and I think it makes it an absolute awesome closer track. As well as that, I think that just the way that they mash up a lot of just the heavier elements with the melodic elements, with the clean vocals, the screaming, I think it really ties everything together in this track. And probably my favorite portion of the track in particular is the 2 minutes and 5 second mark to around that 3 minute mark. That part goes absolute hard. I love it. Every time that part comes on, I get super hyped. Can't tell you how many times I've driven in my car and that portion of the song comes on and I just get like pumped up. So definitely give this one a listen. As well as that, I'm gonna go through some pros and cons in the record. Cons, I really don't have any, and I'm not just saying that because I could say that, but I mean obviously I am saying it, but I really feel like this record is pretty close to perfect. Had pretty decent expectations for this record, but I absolutely blew my mind on this one. I think he really kind of combines a lot of aspects of what I love in heavy music, but also kind of keeping it melodic and really pristine and beautiful. And I think that the way that they were kind of able to arrange not only Jacob's clean singing, but also his screaming, I think is really well utilized as well. I think instrumentally, they're pretty diverse as well. There's, you know, and it doesn't even have to be about more of the like driven, more like, you know, riffy guitar parts. I think it even has to do with a lot of like the ethereal, really beautiful, like melodic parts. I think that they were able to kind of create an awesome musical landscape that, from start to finish is really just a beautiful story told. So, definitely extremely well written, and I'm excited to see where this band heads next. I think this record is definitely flying under a lot of people's record radars, and I wanted to kind of get a review out just to see, have other people check it out because it is really awesome. I think Unified really signed an awesome band, and I think they could possibly be the next North Lane. So my overall rating for Thornhill's The Dark Pool, I'm going to be giving it a 9.8 out of 10. Definitely give it a listen. I think the whole record is pretty much my favorite. I didn't want to just keep saying my favorite track because I think I got a little bit of shit for it the last time, but really, every track on this record is phenomenal. I'm excited to see what they do next, as I have mentioned before. But let me know in the comments what you think about it. If you agree with me, if you disagree, I'd love to have a musical conversation about it in the comments section below. And if you like this review and you want to see more of it, make sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up. It goes a long way. Share it. Thornhill, thank you for letting me review your record. Thank you to Big Picture as well. They're the best. Love working with them. So definitely check these guys out. Seriously. Definitely on my albums of the year list, without a doubt, easily. So check the links in the description and find out about their band. So my name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon.
Hey
Peace.
guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos. So definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.